Unit 19 North Carolina Key Point Review. Equal opportunity in housing is intended to create a marketplace in which all persons of similar financial means have a similar range of housing choices. Equal opportunity laws apply to owners, real estate brokers, apartment management companies, real estate organizations, lending agencies, builders, and developers. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 guaranteed equal housing opportunities to all U.S. citizens, was upheld in Jones v. Mayer, 1968, and prohibits all racial discrimination with no exceptions. Also, complaints under the Civil Rights Act of 1866 go directly to federal court. Race was defined by the U.S. Supreme Court to include ancestral and ethnic characteristics, including certain physical, cultural, or linguistic traits that are shared by a group with a common national origin. The Federal Fair Housing Act is Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. And prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, or national origin, does not prohibit discrimination based solely on a person's citizenship status, and prohibits illegal activities that include steering, blockbusting, and redlining. The Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 added sex to list of protected classes. The Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988, which added handicapping condition and familial status to protected classes, prohibits discrimination against individuals because of their association with people in the protected classes, and is administered by HUD, which establishes rules and regulations to further clarify the law, and created the Equal Housing Opportunity Poster. The Housing for Older Persons Act of 1995 repealed facilities and services requirements designed for older persons and prohibited an award of monetary damages against those who reasonably rely in good faith on property designated as housing for older persons as being exempt from familial status provisions of the Fair Housing Act. Housing is exempt from familial status protection if it is restricted to persons age 62 or older, or if 80% of the units are occupied by persons over age 55. Exemptions from the Federal Fair Housing Act include rentals in owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units, housing operated by organizations and private clubs that limit occupancy to members, and the sale or rental of a single-family home when fewer than 3 homes are owned by an individual. Discriminatory advertising is not used, and a real estate broker is not involved in the transaction. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974 prohibits discrimination in lending on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, age, marital status, and public assistance. Familial status extends fair housing protections to families with children, meaning a family in which one or more individuals under the age of 18 live with either a parent or a guardian, or a woman who is pregnant, including the following. Families with children must be considered under the same terms and conditions as anyone else. The property cannot be advertised as adults only, and the ads cannot indicate limitation on the number of children accepted. Limitations on the number of people permitted to reside in a house or apartment must be based on objective factors such as sanitation or safety. A handicapping condition is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more of an individual's major life activities. Persons with AIDS or who are HIV positive are included under the handicapping condition protected class. The law does not protect individuals who are current users of illegal or controlled substances, or who have been convicted of the illegal manufacture or distribution of a controlled substance. However, the law does protect individuals who are participating in addiction recovery programs. Reasonable modifications to property to make it usable by an individual with a disability must be allowed, but the individual must return the property to its former condition on vacating it. The Americans with Disabilities Act prohibits discrimination in employment and public accommodations. Access to facilities and services and commercial properties must be provided when reasonably achievable in existing buildings, with higher standards for new construction, remodeling. Exempt properties include those covered by federal fair housing laws. North Carolina Fair Housing Act of 1983 mirrors the federal act, with the only difference being the exemptions under state law. Exemptions from the North Carolina Fair Housing Act include the following. Owner can discriminate in the rental of a 1 to 4 unit residential dwelling if the owner or their family member resides in one of the units. A college or university can discriminate in the rental of rooms in a single-sex dormitory. A seller cannot discriminate in the sale of residence, even if selling it without a real estate broker. Complaints are filed with the North Carolina Human Relations Commission. North Carolina law prohibits sexual harassment of a tenant by landlords or their agents.